Tom Cruise is undoubtedly one of the most renowned celebrities in the world, celebrated for his roles in action films, particularly the Mission: Impossible franchise. His impressive career and status in the entertainment industry have made him a sought-after co-star for many Hollywood actors. Despite this, celebrities who have publicly stated that they would be unwilling to work with Cruise again. Tom Cruise was born on July 3, 1962, in Syracuse, New York. His parents, originally from Louisville, Kentucky, had a mix of English, German, and Irish heritage. Cruise was their only son. Raised in near poverty with a Catholic background, Cruise described his father as a bully and coward who was abusive towards his children. He reflected on his father's behavior, noting that his father would create a false sense of security before lashing out, which taught him a valuable lesson. There's something wrong with this guy. Don't trust him. Be careful around him. Or he learned something different from his dad, which is being difficult to work with. We will be talking about 10 celebrities who tried to warn us about Tom Cruise. 10. Thandie Newton. One of these celebrities also includes his co-star, Thandie Newton, from the 2000 film Mission: Impossible 2. This second film in the franchise featured Thandie Newton as Ethan Hunt's love interest, Naya Nordoff, who joins him on the mission to find the rogue IMF agent, Sean Ambrose. But it seems the lady did not enjoy her stay on film. So she poured her heart out in an interview with Vulture. Thandie described Tom Cruise as really stressed and dominant, and claimed that Tom Cruise tries super hard to be a nice person, but ends up doing the contrary. He was a very dominant individual. He tries super hard to be a nice person, she said. The Westworld actress shared that the Jack Reacher star takes a lot of pressure and believes that he is the only one who can do his best at everything. And I think he has this sense that only he can do everything as best as it can be done, Newton shared during her interview. She also shared that both of them were very frustrated with each other, and Cruise's behavior toward her while filming just added to her terror and insecurity about Tom. She's one of the people that believes he's difficult to work with. She also talked about how Tom took it upon himself to display her role for her. He was demonstrating a scene by portraying her character. The Norbit actress shared, "So we rehearsed, and they recorded it. And then he goes, 'I'll be you, you be me.'" She recalled calling director Jonathan Demme and explaining to him the nightmare she went through on the set of Mission: Impossible 2. 9. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is also one of the people that seem to have a difficult time with Tom Cruise. And theirs started with when Tom Cruise was asked a question, and the response Tom gave. Tom Cruise is deeply dedicated to his craft and was asked if working on certain Hollywood film sets felt like being away in Afghanistan. Given his relentless work ethic, Cruise did agree to the comparable. He said, "That's what it feels like, and certainly in this last movie it was brutal." "It was brutal," the actor replied. But that response does not sit well with Mark Wahlberg. It seems as though Mark Wahlberg wasn't impressed with the answer, and it might be the reason as to why the two never worked alongside one another. It seems like Wahlberg indirectly put Cruise on blast without naming names. For actors to sit there and talk about, "Oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the..." I don't give a tsikanagadas what you did. You don't do what these guys did. For somebody to sit there and say my job was as difficult as somebody in the military's. How dare you? While you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours. Mark Wahlberg's statement made the headlines. However, Mark would go back on his word, saying that it wasn't a dig at Tom Cruise. "I didn't know that it was Tom Cruise that said that. Somebody just mentioned that people are making that comparison," Wahlberg said. "I love Tom Cruise. I have much respect for Tom Cruise, but I have just as much respect for military guys, so it's just unfair for anybody to comment on that. Who really knows what happened there? But it likely all stems from Cruise's work ethic." 8. Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields' reflection on her public clash with Tom Cruise underscores a fascinating twist in the narrative surrounding mental health advocacy. In 2005, Cruise's outspoken criticism of Shields' use of Paxil and his broader dismissal of psychiatry not only provoked a media storm, but also sparked a wider dialogue on mental health treatment. His comments were rooted in Scientology's controversial stance against psychiatric drugs, and they clashed sharply with Shields' personal experiences and the broader medical consensus on treating postpartum depression. Shields' memoir, Down Came the Rain, had already brought her struggles with postpartum depression into the spotlight. but Cruise's remarks turned her personal story into a national conversation. His criticism inadvertently drew attention to the importance of mental health treatment and the stigma often associated with it. Despite the initial backlash and personal distress Shields faced, she acknowledges that the controversy had a silver lining. At the 2024 PHM Health Front, Shields highlighted how Cruise's comments, though disparaging, galvanized women and mental health advocates to rally around a cause that might otherwise have remained under the radar. "It was a catalyst for a larger movement," she said, noting how the anger and frustration directed at Cruise transformed into a unified call for better mental health awareness and support. The controversy forced many to reconsider and publicly discuss the value of mental health treatments and the necessity for open conversations about mental health challenges. Shields also pointed out how this unexpected boost in visibility helped to destigmatize the conversation around mental health. By forcing the issue into mainstream discussions, Cruise's criticisms made it impossible to ignore the realities faced by many struggling with mental health issues. In a strange way, it became a turning point, she reflected. It wasn't about me versus Tom Cruise. It was about making sure that no one else would have to endure the same kind of scrutiny and misinformation. 7. Brad Pitt. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt have both maintained their A-list status for decades, with their films consistently drawing audiences. However, their relationship isn't as smooth as their careers. The tension between them might trace back to their collaboration on the 1994 film Interview with the Vampire, which could have sparked a 30-year feud. In the 1990s, Brad Pitt shared with the now-defunct Premiere magazine that he was bugged by Cruise's relentlessly positive demeanor. "At a certain point during filming, I started to really resent him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always extending a handshake, while I might just bump into you," Pitt explained, as reported by Far Out magazine. "There was an underlying competition that got in the way of real conversation. It wasn't hostile, but it was noticeable, and it bugged me a bit." Despite this, Pitt did acknowledge Cruise as a good actor, though the rift had already taken hold. Since then, the two haven't shared the screen, and their rivalry has resurfaced with Pitt's recent film. At 60, Pitt may be encroaching on Cruise's territory, particularly since Cruise has long been associated with racing films. Remember Days of Thunder? Additionally, Pitt has brought on Top Gun Maverick director Joseph Kosinski for his project. This move might be seen by Cruise as an intrusion into his established domain of action, sports, stunts, and high-speed thrills. 6. Nicole Kidman. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were a quintessential 90s power couple. Although their romance didn't last, it continues to captivate movie fans around the world. The Oscar winner and the Mission Impossible star first met in early 1990 while filming Tony Scott's Days of Thunder. Cruise played the race car driver Cole Trickle, and Kidman starred as his love interest, Dr. Claire Lewicki. While some critics felt the film was too reminiscent of Cruise's 1986 hit Top Gun, the burgeoning romance between its young stars quickly overshadowed any negative reviews. Less than a year after finalizing his divorce from Mimi Rogers, Cruise married Kidman in December 1990. Their private ceremony, held on Christmas Eve in Telluride, Colorado, was an intimate affair attended only by family. Now, Nicole Kidman is reflecting on one of her most iconic performances 25 years later. She recently revisited Eyes Wide Shut, the final film directed by the legendary Stanley Kubrick, in which she starred alongside Cruise. The film, shot during their marriage, explores a couple facing a marital crisis and has sparked extensive interpretation from critics and audiences alike. In a recent interview, Kidman shared her thoughts on the film's legacy and her experience working with her then-husband. 5. Alec Baldwin. In Mission Impossible Fallout, the gripping confrontation scene between Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, and IMF Secretary Alan Hunley, Alec Baldwin, is a highlight. This pivotal moment, where Hunt is accused of being the villainous John Lark, is underscored by a tense build-up and a focus on the characters' faces as they lean against the table. The film's audio commentary reveals that both actors were dealing with significant physical pain during this scene. Cruise had famously injured his ankle performing a rooftop stunt, and Baldwin was recovering from a recent double hip replacement, making movement particularly painful. To accommodate Baldwin's condition and heighten the scene's intensity, the blocking and close-up shots were carefully planned to add depth to the confrontation. After the release of Mission: Impossible, Rogue Nation, in 2015, Alec Baldwin appeared on The Howard Stern Show and shared his thoughts on Tom Cruise and Scientology. When the topic of Cruise's association with Scientology came up, Baldwin made some nonchalant comments saying, "Who gives a shit?" He added, "I say to myself, maybe there's a religion or maybe there's a philosophy that helped him to negotiate that space," referring to Scientology. Baldwin's remarks reflected his pragmatic view on Cruise's personal beliefs and their impact on his professional life. 4. Leah Remini. Leah Remini has long been a vocal warning bell about the troubling world of Tom Cruise and the Church of Scientology. Her public battle against the church, which she left in 2013, has reached a dramatic new chapter, with a lawsuit that exposes chilling allegations of harassment and intimidation. Remini, known for her fearless criticism, now alleges that Cruise's close ally, Scientology leader David Miscavige, played a central role in a relentless campaign of psychological and emotional abuse against her. The lawsuit, filed this Wednesday, claims that Remini was subjected to severe mistreatment after questioning the absence of Miscavige's wife at Cruise's 2006 Italian wedding. According to the court documents, this inquiry led to a 4-month confinement and harsh psychological punishment. Remini's fight to hold the church accountable has now escalated, with her accusing Scientology of employing sinister tactics to silence her and discredit her voice. As Cruise's name surfaces in this legal battle, the connection between him and Miscavige becomes a focal point. Remini's lawsuit suggests that Cruise's significant influence within the church makes him a likely candidate to be called as a witness in her case, potentially unraveling even more of the church's secretive operations. Critics and insiders alike believe Cruise's role as a high-profile supporter, and essentially second-in-command, could be pivotal in the case, revealing the extent of his involvement in the church's controversial practices. Those seeking dirt on Cruise have not been disappointed by Remini's book, which offers a glimpse into the star's offbeat behavior. Initially, she describes her time with Cruise as magical, noting his ability to make someone feel like they were the only person in the room. However, she soon witnessed peculiar and problematic whims. In one anecdote, Cruise berated his assistants for not providing ingredients for cookies that were plainly visible on the counter. Tom seemed like a child who had never been told no, Remini recalled. Nurtra 3. Katie Holmes. Katie Holmes's whirlwind romance with Tom Cruise was a spectacle that captured the world's imagination. From the moment they met in 2005, the actress and fashion icon, renowned for her unique style, which notably included the daring pairing of socks over sweatpants, embarked on a highly publicized love affair. Their relationship, marked by affectionate red carpet appearances and relentless PDA, earned them the tabloid nickname Tomcat. Within a year of their first meeting, the couple was engaged and soon welcomed their daughter, Suri. Their whirlwind romance culminated in a wedding just months later, marking Holmes's first marriage and Cruise's third. Despite the skepticism from many who doubted the longevity of their union, they spent nearly 6 years together, a period that, while ultimately fleeting, offered a glimmer of hope to fans dreaming of marrying their celebrity crush. Their high-profile marriage came to an end in 2012, shortly after Cruise gave an interview to Playboy in which he praised Holmes. Though the actor claimed he was blindsided by the divorce, the legal proceedings were notably swift, concluding with a settlement in just 11 days. The details of their split have remained largely private, but rumors suggest that Holmes's decision was influenced by a desire to shield her daughter from the constraints of Scientology. During a deposition against Bauer Media, which had alleged that he had abandoned Suri, Cruise was asked if Holmes had left him partly to protect their daughter from Scientology. Insulted, he firmly denied the claim, stating, "There is no need to protect my daughter from my religion." When pressed further, Cruise acknowledged that while Holmes had made assertions about the reasons for the split, he was adamant that it was not to shield Suri from Scientology. Following their divorce, Holmes was granted primary custody of Suri. Despite being afforded visitation rights, Cruise was reported to have had minimal contact with his daughter. In 2016, In Touch Weekly reported that Cruise had not seen or spoken to Suri in over 2.5 years, adding another layer to the complex and widely scrutinized end of their once iconic relationship. 2. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke has made headlines for his recent remarks about Tom Cruise, particularly given the latter's monumental success with Top Gun: Maverick. Despite the film grossing over $118 billion worldwide and being the biggest hit of Cruise's career, Rourke is unimpressed. In an appearance on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Rourke dismissed Cruise's achievements as irrelevant. "That doesn't mean shit to me," Rourke said, referring to the blockbuster's financial success. He expressed his lack of respect for Cruise's acting career, criticizing him for playing similar roles for over 3 decades. "I got no respect for that," Rourke continued. "I don't care about money or power. I care about when I watch Al Pacino or Christopher Walken working, or De Niro's early work, and Richard Harris and Ray Winstone. That's the kind of actor I want to be like. A lot of guys that tried to stretch as actors." Rourke believes that Cruise has failed to challenge himself as an actor and is not impressed with his work. When asked if Cruise is a good actor, Rourke simply replied, "I think he's irrelevant." Despite Rourke's harsh critique, Cruise's star power remains formidable. Top Gun: Maverick is the highest-grossing film of 2022 and has been a major success both domestically and internationally. With upcoming projects like the 2-part Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning set for release in 2023 and 2024, Cruise's prominence in Hollywood is set to continue. Meanwhile, Rourke is focusing on his own career, starring in Roman Polanski's latest film, The Palace. While Rourke's views on Cruise might stir controversy, they highlight a broader debate about the nature of success and the evolution of an actor's craft. John Travolta. John Travolta's relationship with Tom Cruise, 2 of Scientology's most prominent celebrity ambassadors, has reportedly been fraught with tension and jealousy, according to Brendan Teague, a former security guard who has since left the controversial church. Teague, who was born into Scientology and worked closely with Cruise's security detail, reveals a behind-the-scenes rivalry that has simmered for years. According to TG, Travolta and Cruise have had a contentious relationship, driven in part by Travolta's resentment over Cruise's high-ranking status within the church. Cruise was awarded the church's highest honor, the Freedom Medal of Valor, in 2008 by Scientology leader David Miscavige, a move that Teague says deeply infuriated Travolta. Prior to Cruise's recognition, Travolta had seen himself as Miscavige's favorite son, and the award was perceived as a demotion of his own standing. "It's no secret that Cruise and Travolta despised each other," Teague told Daily Mail. "Travolta wasn't invited to Cruise's wedding with Katie Holmes. It told me everything." He added that Travolta's anger was evident in his reaction to the medal. He was told by Miscavige that he was the most dedicated Scientologist and had introduced more members than anyone, so it was like getting his title stripped. Teague also recounted that Travolta expressed his displeasure in a letter to Miscavige, dictated to his chauffeur, questioning the significance of Cruise's medal, asking, "What the hell is this medal all about?" Teague said. Travolta's perceived diminished status within Scientology is further illustrated by the privileges afforded to Cruise, which are not extended to Travolta or other high-profile members. Cruise reportedly enjoys exclusive benefits, such as private jets and luxury accommodations, that Travolta does not. Travolta doesn't get anything free. No one is giving him absurd gifts like an airplane hangar, custom-made bikes, or over-the-top favors, Teague noted. If you like this video, do not forget to share and subscribe. Also, let us know in the comments what the shocking thing you heard about Tom Cruise is.